Hey guys, hopefully you made it back. Looks like YouTube ended the video on the first one, and so I just did a continuation video here to catch us up, answer some more of the comments, see if there's anything else you guys want to discuss. Heck, this may just be short. I may end up just be burning through the comments. None of you might be able to. None of you might connect back with me. If you do, welcome back. This will be like a two-parter from the first one. So let's get back over here and find the chat of what I didn't get a chance to answer before the phone rang. See if this one is the right one. Get this opened up here and go through the rest of these chats. Answer your questions and comment and discussion. Wrong video. That was a war machine. So I'll get it here in a minute. Come on, you stupid computer. Where's my video? My video. In the world. I don't see my video from today. Excuse me, guys, while I'm trying to find this. Not today's video. There we go. It might be in the processing area. So let's get to, where's the live comments? Why don't I see the live comments? I thought they just, I swear to God, I've seen the live comments on the side here. Why can't I find the live comments, guys? What in the absolute world am I doing wrong? Did anybody even tune in? So, yeah, the phone rang. It's my job. And they like to call me to fix things. That's what I do. Um, Smokers are amazing. Why can't I see the live comments on my last video? I should be able to, right? Any ideas, thoughts, comments, suggestions? I want to answer the last questions that you guys were asking. because we were talking about something and I don't remember what it was. I know we were most recently talking about Snyder Joker. Who's the Snyder Joker? On the phone, it's by the like and dislike. Okay, what about on my laptop? Where's it at there? See what I got? That's the last video. I should be having comments here on the side, right? I don't know how to get to that. Help me. I thought the comments displayed here on the right-hand side. Do they not? Shouldn't I be seeing them? Well, I don't know how to get back to the comments. I'm so sorry. I really am so sorry. Jeez, I really wanted to answer your questions. That's why I came back. Sorry, guys. So let's get over to this current one. I answer the questions over here. All right, so yeah, hey, those work guys are relentless. 4 weeks in a row. I ain't kidding you, man. How about a break? You know, it's so funny. The boss is like, I pay you hourly, you pay me weekly. WEEAKLY, weekly. You know, he's like, oh, you know, you get paid this and that, whatever else. I'm like, yeah, but dude, I'm on call 24/7, 7 days a week. You know, how many other employees are in that capacity? And they're not. So, whatever. Make your own bed, right? So work called and they interrupt the video stream whenever I do that. I got to take a call. If I were rich, I would have a separate line for work and I would have a separate line for making my videos. It seems like every week anymore. Not tired. Who's tired? It's on there, man. We just been rewatching it. Cool. Okay, love to get 1/6 Venom, Flash, Toys Era X-Men, Old Magneto, Storm, Cyclops, Mystique, and Iceman. You know, that's a really cool team. And again, talking about which figures we collect and which ones we wish we had and why in the world is this thing so flippy-floppy. I never got around to collecting the X-Men. I never got around to collecting the Fantastic Four. I never got around to collecting those. Like, I got to get the old Spider-Mans. I have to get the old Spider-Mans. Tobey Maguire's, Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans. I got to get those. I love this Venom. This guy here is made by Toys Era. What a dream piece. So, we had the Venom movie that came out last year. And some of you guys didn't much dig it. I really enjoyed it. I could see beyond some of the things that they did and were doing. But this is classic Venom. This, guys, holy smokes. This is classic Venom. So the Venom movie, they did a really good job of doing Venom without Spider-Man, which is believable. I mean, the Venom story has been told many times. The original Venom story in the comics is different than the animated series Venoms. It's different than the movie Venoms. It's different than the current Venom. It's different than the re-release stories of Venom. There's so many creation stories of Venom that you can't be angry at the Venom movie because it's a new creation story, if you will. It's a from my understanding, it is the Marvel Cinematic Universe Earth, and he makes a reference to working for the Daily Bugle. He makes a reference to J. Jonah Jameson and all of these things, and with the actor reprising the role of J. Jonah Jameson, who played it in the Tobey Maguire movies, in this last Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man movie, that starts to tie everything together. You know what I mean? We know about the multiverse from the animated cartoon of Spider-Man into the multiverse. And of course, Deadpool, of course, we know about the multiverse specifically because of Deadpool core comics. So this is classic Venom. And what an amazing, amazing piece. And I really am happy that I got a hold of this piece. It has definitely not been a disappointment at all. And he's beastly. He is what Venom should be. Unlike the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3 movie, that really turned Venom into, I don't know, a weakling. I don't know why they did that. Venom is such a more awesome, deranged character, and they did a great job portraying Venom in the Venom movie. And there's some other figures as well that go along with that. But man, you cannot go wrong. If you got a hold of this, or if you want to track this down, go for it. You are not going to be, you will, I can't imagine for 1 second that you would be disappointed over this. Look at this. We are Venom, no doubt about it. That's just insane. That's totally insane. I love that guy. I have to have a whole Spider-Man thing. He's too big to fit up here with my other Spider-Man currently because he's big. He's a big guy. What happened, Siri? I was sad I went off with work. Work calling me. Overtime. No such thing as overtime. Also, like to get some of the Jokers I've seen. The Joker has been portrayed by some amazing actors in the lifespan of Batman. The what's his name? Cesar Romero. What was his name? Who did him back in the Adam West Batman, and then Jack Nicklaus. I always get the golfer and the actor, the names confused on those. What in the world? I'm gonna fix this. This thing is just flippy floppy way too much. There we go. And Heath Ledger. Oh my God. Some amazing Jokers. If you were to get Jokers, you couldn't go wrong with any of those. Any of those. For real, you couldn't go wrong with any of those. Superman Snyder Joker wears his face as a mask. I don't even understand what that means. On the phone, it's my like and dislike. This is where the comments are. And Batman, who laughs. Figures I need to release ASAP. Ant-Man, Killmonger, Wasp, they should be out. Yes! Hello! Superman, Scott Snyder, Joker in the comics, Doll Man rips his face off. What? Joker puts it back. What? Oh, man, that's sick. I'd love to get that 1/6 figure. I read that. Run. Because you're a worldwide phenomenon, system can't keep up with you, right? That was good. I want a job advertising hot toys. Could you imagine? That'd be a dream job. One reason why I'm scared to get the Spidey is I don't want to go outside of villains. Ah, yes. That's the thing about villains, too. There's not enough collectors out there to buy the villains. Obviously, the hero characters are loved 100%, and people will buy the hero characters. And they may only buy one. Like, there are people who will only buy one Spider-Man, and that's all they'll ever buy, ever, period. And they're perfectly pleased with that. And I can respect those kinds of collectors. But there are people who do not buy the villains at all. And to this day, you can still buy an Electro. You can still buy a Ben Kingsley Mandarin. Brand spanking new. They're still available to be sold. Brand new, never been owned by anybody because people don't buy the villains. So when an absolute beloved villain comes out, Michael Keaton's Vulture, we're like, why are we not getting this? It's because Hot Toys doesn't feel like cranking out a big money on something that they're not going to be able to sell, or something's going to sit on the shelf. Jatari Warriors, the Commander, and the Foot Soldiers, you can still buy those brand new. Those are villains. We want the Black Order. We want Thanos' henchmen. We want to get the Black Order. We want to get our Vulture. We want to get a Yellow Jacket. And Hot Toys is just denying us of these figures. It's because people aren't getting the villains. So I'm happy to hear that you are specifically a villain collector, but it must be really frustrating for you to see all these wonderful villains that aren't being made. From the Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man's, the Rhino that they showed us, never released it. And we'll never see it. It will never be released. We will never get a Rhino. And part of that is because you can still buy an Electro. They were selling Electro for $50. You could buy a brand spanking new Hot Toys Electro figure for $50. I mean, that speaks of volumes on that. So we get angry that they're not making it, but when they make it, nobody buys it. So, yeah, that must be really tough and frustrating for you. The Venom statue next to him, the Tom Hardy one. Tom Hardy, yeah, that's the one that did the Venom. And I think I've ordered I don't remember if I ordered any of those Tom Hardy Venoms. I think I did. I know I wanted to. I couldn't remember if I did or not, but I'm pretty sure I did. But I don't. I hope I did not. But I think I did. Not the statue, but the figures. I can't wait to see that Paul Rudd sculpt because it's a smiling face finally. A Hot Toys with a funny expression. Can you show your Ant-Man from the first movie? I watched your reviews of it the other day. I will show you him. Let's get this. See if I can scoot all this out of the way. I'm not going to grab him off the shelf, and you'll see why here in a minute. Give me just a quick moment here. Slide this box out of the way here. And I'll spin the camera around so we can see my Ant-Man here. How I have him displayed is I have him doing his shrinking. And let me do this. Let's do this real quick. Should be able to spin the camera around. There we go. Let's see if I can get some light on here. So there he is, and I have him with a 1/9 scale King Arts, and I think a Marvel Select, and possibly a Hasbro. And I've got the little, what was that, a Hyundai or a Kia? I don't remember which, that was in the Ant-Man Wasp movie. It really doesn't belong there. That belongs with the Ant-Man Wasp. But that's my first movie, Ant-Man, right there. Let me get some good light on him. I mean, that's about, I guess, as good as the light I'm going to be able to get to him. But there he is. And that's how I have him displayed. See if I can give you a side shot. I don't want to move them because all those guys are just balancing upon each other. They're just kind of hanging out there. But you see it goes all the way down to an Ant-Man that's smaller than the car. He barely looks over the hood of the car there. There we go. We can zoom in. So there's Paul Rudd. There's Scott Lang. And then a King Arts. I think that's a Marvel Select, and don't remember which that one is. And then there's the little guys all the way down. And there's a 1/9 scale King Arts yellow jacket. Hot Toys promised us a yellow jacket, and they never released it. And here's a Ant-Man and Wasp ear, which I think greatly resemble how the Hot Toys will look. So they're waiting for the Hot Toys. And here's an Ant-Man and Wasp, which don't necessarily look that much like what I expect the Hot Toys to look like. But there he's on. I think that's Anthony, right? So that's not my most beloved Ant-Man and Wasp there, but these guys look really good. So there's the Ant-Man and Wasp that you asked to see. It is holding up good. It sure is. I currently have Whiplash Mark II, Mandarin, Ultron, and Thanos. I have Killmonger and Mysterio on pre-order. Yeah, Killmonger, what the hell? He's like a year behind. He was supposed to come out like last Christmas time or something. Happy Spidey is still in the MCU. I am ecstatic that Spidey is still in the MCU. Really glad to get that news yesterday that he is going to be back and now that somebody else had said 2 movies. Now that you had said that, I remember that they were saying that he's going to get his own standalone movie and he's going to be in an MCU team up. So really happy to see that. Let's see where we at. Keep your homemade suit. I think you will regret getting rid of it. I want a drone too. Yeah, and kind of where I am on the homemade suit is I already have the homemade suit. You know, I already have one. I don't need 2 of them, really. Unless I was to try to do... See, I bought the... I kind of am under the impression that because of the multiverse, that they're trying to tie in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and all of that into this whole thing, especially with J. Jonah Jameson, and to make it part of one big continuation of a Spider-Man storyline. After Spider-Man 3 with Venom, they'd already had planned 4 and 5. There was supposed to be a 4 and a 5 movie with Tobey Maguire. They had planned it. And Venom was supposed to live, and he was supposed to be in San Francisco. Hello? And that was the whole thing about that. And they were supposed to come from that a Venom movie and a Carnage movie. So they had no intention of killing Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire series off. It's just that they really screwed up Spider-Man 3 so badly that they just Sony couldn't see continue on the story. But the story was already laid out. And specifically Mysterio, hello, was supposed to be in Spider-Man 4, and it was supposed to be played by the actor, God, I forget his name. He was in the first 3 Spider-Man movies. I cannot remember his name now. Bruce Campbell. He was supposed to be the character who was going to be doing Mysterio. And they were supposed to come out with the Sinister Six. And all of this was already laid out. I mean, none of this really is new. It's almost like 15 years later, we're getting the continuation of what should have been after Spider-Man 3. The Sinister Six and Venom and Carnage and Mysterio and all of these things were played out. Bruce Campbell was supposed to be Mysterio in Spider-Man 4. That's who was supposed to be in Spider-Man 4. It was supposed to be Mysterio. So it's almost like as if that's where we are now. And the reason he was in the comics, Mysterio was like a special effects out-of-work actor thing, and he blamed Peter Parker or Spider-Man or whatever for foiling him and whatever else. And if you remember, he was in all 3 of the movies. He was in the first movie. He was the ring announcer for when Spider-Man went to get the wrestling money, because in the comics he wanted to buy a car. I don't remember why he was going to do the wrestling thing in the movie. I don't remember anymore. Why Tobey Maguire was going to do the wrestling thing, but Bruce Campbell was the ring announcer. In the second movie, Bruce Campbell was the guy that was working outside of the production house where Mary Jane was putting on her performance of when she was doing their live stage performance, and he wouldn't let Peter Parker in because he came late and people were already sitting, and he was kept outside. And in the third movie, he was the maitre d' at the restaurant where Peter was going to propose to Mary Jane. So Bruce Campbell had an ongoing storyline that was already created there, and through his anger over all things, because evidently, long story short, I guess they were saying that he was going to imply that he got fired because of Peter Parker and all of these jobs, and so he had it out for him or Spider-Man or whoever, whatever the case was, and that was the whole storyline that was supposed to happen. So all of this was already in play, and it kind of got put on hold. So I have a feeling they're going to try to tie all that in and to make all these Spider-Mans and all these things in here. Because remember when Tom Holland came out, we didn't get the origination story again. Their answer was because it's already been told. We already know the origination story. And I thought it was cute how in the multiverse, how they said, okay, for the last time, and then they would tell their origination story. Penny would tell her origination story, and Spider-Gwen would tell her origination story, and Peter B. Parker would tell his origination story. And it was funny, they would just zip through it real quick, and because we know the origination story. But each one's a little bit different, just enough that makes it interesting or special enough for us to continue on with that. And I often wonder if maybe I could take this homemade suit and turn it into some other type of a wrestling suit. They sold this wrestling suit, a third-party manufacturer had made one, and when it came to me, it was orange and blue. And I'm sorry, Spider-Man doesn't wear orange and blue, he wears red and blue. And I'm like, what the hell? You couldn't do red? Really? So it's in a bag or something, and it just kind of gathers dust. But if I could figure out a way of turning the homemade suit into the wrestling suit or something along that line, where the Tobey Maguire was doing that, I would. And that's probably what I would do with my Homecoming, because now I've got a homemade suit. Because now with the drone, that would be my second homemade suit, and I really don't need a second homemade suit. Robust Thor pre-order. My plan is if I get all the villains that's on pre-order and there's no more in sight, I will go back and get some of the older villains, which they're not that many, so my collection will be super big. Yeah, it sneaks up on you how slowly and quickly it becomes big. I want to get a Deathstroke from DC Comics, to tell you the truth. I think he belongs on the Deadpool shelf. I can't wait to see Joker. I hope everyone who goes to see it is safe. I'm not so certain of what I think about the Joker. Who is the Joaquin Phoenix is the actor? I'm not certain what I think about that. Now, Joaquin Phoenix is a maniac. He's crazy. And so it may be a good in that regards, but I don't like the face. It's not the Joker face. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes his own face. I want the Robust Thor. I'm not sure what a Robust Thor is. Dream Job. Sand remover for a female volleyball team. You guys are crazy. And Comic Joker, Batman Hybrid, the Batman Who Laughs. You mean like from Batman Asylum, whatever, that comic Joker? Electro and Mandarin finally sold out on BBTS. Really? Were they still selling Electro for $50? And I think they're selling Mandarin for $75. Been like that for a while. I would love a Ghost. Oh, you talking about from Ant-Man Wasp? Oh, yes. God, what an amazing piece that would be. I would really love one of those too. And I really want to get a Valkyrie in her full-on uniform. We have a Valkyrie they've shown us, and I don't know whether or not she was actually put up for pre-order. I don't remember now, but man, oh man, oh man, her in her old uniform. Oh my God. Darth Vader. There's so many Darth Vaders out there too. Some really great looking Darth Vaders. Loki, gotta have a Loki. Gotta have a Loki in your collection, right? Hela. I have a Hela. I love my Hela. You should put a baby on the bottom next to Ant-Man. What? Why? I don't understand that. When Spider-Man left the MCU, people were saying old Sony may do a good job because of Into the Spider-Verse. I feel like people forgot that DC for years made the best animated movies. I think you're right. I got that joke, Robert, from Endgame scene. Live action sucked. Same thing with Sony. Their animation may be good, but live action is another story, especially how Far From Home in Far From Home ended. Indeed, I was like, there's no way Sony can tell the story at this point. Yeah, I was truthfully under the impression if Sony and Marvel couldn't come to an agreement, that that was pretty much the end for Spider-Man, to tell you the truth. I really had zero faith that Sony would be able to pick up the mantle and run with it. That's the truth. I was like, oh, that's so much for Spider-Man. We had a good run, but we're done. Also, I shouldn't say that the DC films sucked. It's just they weren't great. They were enjoyable. They're okay. And I have not seen all of the DC films, and it had really nothing to do with me not liking DC because I like DC. I mean, Spider-Man or Superman and Batman were some of the first comic heroes that I read, and I've always loved Superman and Batman. You can't go wrong with them. I don't know that much about the DC universe, but I didn't see the movies just for whatever reason. I just didn't see the movies. Didn't have the time, didn't have the money, and didn't get around to watching them. So I'm with you. Now, Green Lantern sucked. I see we got Green Lantern on here. It's a DC film sucked. Batman Beyond, Return of Joker. The Green Lantern movie that Ryan Reynolds did, 100% sucked. Hey, if you guys like it, God bless you. You know, I'm glad that you enjoyed the movie. I could not stand the Green Lantern. I couldn't stand it. I hated it. I hated it. I totally hated it. Totally hated it. I thought it was interesting though. Ben Affleck did a Daredevil and then became Batman, and Ryan Reynolds did a Green Lantern and then became Deadpool, and so they totally changed franchises. DC to Marvel, Marvel to DC. I thought that was cool. Uh, Doomed, I liked. Gotham by Gaslight, Dark Knight Returns animated, even like the Batman and Son. Robust is what they called him. It's a nicer way of saying Thor is fat. Oh, gotcha. Fluffy. A fluffy Thor. I would love to get robust Thor for fact. I mean, I don't remember whether I finally ended up breaking down and getting the third party manufacturer that sells his pajama suits and the robe and with a sculpt and I don't remember whether or not I finally ended up pulling the trigger on that or not. I was really on the fence for that piece because it really wasn't a fat Thor as fat Thor should be because Thor doesn't have any hair on his chest, and the figure that they were using was they make a figure, but his hair on his chest. Thor doesn't have any hair on his chest. Thor is a smooth belly and chest. Death of Superman. Batman Hush was good, except how they changed Hush. Ant-Man was turned into a... Oh, gotcha! Yeah. Yes. Oh my God! And what a funny scene too, because when they finally get Scott back to, I imagine as close as you can to his original timeline, which I'm sure seconds or minutes had passed there, so who's known whether or not he was really at his actual age. He says, I think someone peed in my suit, and I'm not sure whether it was old man me or baby me. And you got to have the baby legs Deadpool, right? Cut him off at his waist, put on little baby legs on him. Sorry, I'm using speech to talk on my phone. I figured that's what it was. Save on. I figured you mean ended instead of indeed. True, so like this, they always change stuff. Oh yeah, a lot of old DC sucked. Green Lantern, Superman with Brandon Routh. I was saying the newer DC like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam were good. I did see Aquaman and I really enjoyed that. It wasn't the best movie, but it was not a bad movie. It was really good movie. Let's see. I love the part when they said, "Who's gonna snap their fingers?" And Thor was like, "I'll do it. It's okay." And the Avengers were like, "No, no, no, right?" I was mad when they swapped the horse Thor instead of Silver Surfer in animated World War Hulk. I didn't see that. What do you think is coursing through my veins? Cheese, cheese whiz. lightning. Cheese whiz. The subtle comedy of in Marvel Cinematic Universes is really what adds a lot to it as well. When there was a lot of hatred going on when the DC movies were coming out last couple years ago, the Justice League and I forget what they were calling the entire DC line of those movies that were all tied together, and they were getting poor scores by Rotten Tomatoes, and it got so bad that they weren't even allowed to score on the movies anymore before the movies were even released because people were saying they were sabotaging them, and Star Wars was getting the same thing. They were getting poor reviews, and the movies sucked. They really were not good movies, and the reviews were proper and good and true and just, and people thought they were griefing them, and they weren't. It really was truthful and honest that these movies really did suck. So then people started turning on the Marvel movies, trying to act like as if they were bad movies, and the movie that they all turned on at that time was Thor Ragnarok, and they're all like, oh, Marvel's Cinematic Universe, Thor Ragnarok sucked. And I'm like, what the hell drugs are you on? What movie did you see? Because when I watched Thor Ragnarok, I thought it was amazing. They're like saying, oh, they don't handle death well, and the comedy, was no need for comedy. It's not supposed to be a comedy. It's supposed to be a serious movie. Blah, 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 blah. And these guys are out of their freaking gourd. I think they were just butthurt that the Star Wars movies that were coming out at that time sucked, and the DC movies that were coming out at that time sucked, and the reviewers were reviewing them properly and saying, hey, these movies suck. And they just figured that people were griefing them because they wanted their social justice opinion to be expressed properly, and they wanted to get their agenda out and shove it down everyone's throat that Star Wars needed to be like this and DC needed to be like that, and it had nothing to do with anything. And Marvel literally was still cranking out the movie. You can't argue for 1 second that some of the Marvel movies aren't as good as others, but they really slammed Thor Ragnarok, and Thor Ragnarok was really, 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 really a really good movie. And one of my favorite scenes is, when Hela says to Thor, her brother, she's like, tell me again what you're the god of. And then he finds himself more or less and just totally blasts her with lightning and gets on the Rainbow Bridge and just commences to kicking everyone's ass. And it's just a huge fight scene. And you got the immigrant song coming from Led Zeppelin, and it's just extremely exciting. And then like Loki's like, shoot her with lightning. He's like, dude, I just hit her with the mother of all lightning bolts, and it didn't do anything to her. But the subtle comedy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is well needed, and that was one of the things that people were complaining about when they were trying to say that the Marvel movies sucked, and they don't. There are some that aren't necessarily as good as others, like the Thor Dark World was not necessarily as good as some of the others. Iron Man 3 wasn't necessarily as good as some of the others. But as a whole, they don't suck. No way. Sorry to say. And the comedy is well welcomed. Yeah. I like Thor's other lines good. Let's kill him properly this time. If you pay attention to Thor in the movie, I noticed the second and third time I watched it, he tries to go for the head every time he fights Thanos. Someone brought that to my attention. I'm going to have to pay attention to that. I love all the sci-fi movies, good or bad. Chat went too fast. Oh, let's catch it over here. I'll have to pay attention to that. It's interesting. Whenever somebody brings something to your attention that makes you rewatch a movie, it's pretty cool because then especially if they're on target, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I love all the sci-fi movies, good or bad. It's just to get us away from our reality for a bit. Absolutely. It's nice to escape. One of the big fan theories that I really enjoyed was that Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be the Sith Lord. And boy, oh boy, what a convincing fan theory that is. Google that. Check it out on YouTube. Jar Jar Binks is supposed to be the villain. Boy, that'll really get you going. Mysterio was in the background all of Spider-Man's trip before you ever meet him in Spider-Man Far From Home. Really? I'll have to check that out too. Another one that I thought was interesting to make you go back and look at it is, check this out. Somebody told me one time that the Star Trek television series, first time I watched Endgame, when he broke Cap's shield, I was squirming in my seat. Oh, I'm with you, man. It just sliced it with his blade. Sheesh. Um, Star Trek, okay, the original series and the Next Generation, etc., etc. Somebody had said to me one time that if you watch Star Trek with the thought that these are actually being told to us through the eyes of the Doctor, be it McCoy or Crusher or the EMH. I mean, it's really well, I'll get to Jar Jar here in a minute. It's really interesting if you start thinking that when you're watching it, you're like, it's interesting. So the opinion of the fan was that all the Star Wars episodes, all the Star Trek episodes, are actually written in the viewpoint of the Doctor, and that's a very good thing. The reason they didn't make Jar Jar the Sith was because there was such a huge backlash against Jar Jar, and that's why it didn't end up happening that way. But he was the way that he was because he was the bad guy, and that's why he was the way that he was. And if you YouTube that and find out about Jar Jar being the bad guy or the Sith or whatever, I don't remember what the YouTube was called. It's quite a convincing fan theory, and I like it. Another theory that I like, and I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen it or even know what I'm talking about, was a television series called Mad Men, and it had to do with advertising agencies, the advertising industry back in the 60s and the 70s. And it's interesting because you get to see the United States as it was in the 60s and 70s in some aspect. And there's some points, I don't remember whether it was around season 2 or season 3, where I was really getting really frustrated with it. But I pushed through and got all the way through it. And as I was watching it there at the end, I was like, this really isn't the story of Don Draper. He was the main character in the television series. I was like, this really isn't his story. It is. That's what they tell you it is. But in all actuality, it's Peggy's story. The whole episodes, all of them, all 6 seasons, 7 seasons, whatever it was, it's really Peggy's story. She is the one who's telling the story. Everything that she tells us, or everything that you are told about Don Draper, we find out because she knew about it. The story isn't really about Don. It's about Peggy. Peggy's the one telling the story. And if you haven't seen Mad Men, watch it with that in mind. If you have seen it, review it, and keep that in mind that everything that's happening, you wouldn't know about it if Peggy doesn't know about it. It's really the story of Peggy. It's really the story of a woman getting out of the secretary pool, more or less, being just the way they thought of female employees back then was that they couldn't do the job of a man, that they were discriminated against, they weren't put into positions of authority, they weren't put into positions of power, they weren't given these jobs because they didn't think they could do them. And Mad Men really is about the story of a woman breaking into the field of advertising in New York City and getting into that and doing the job that women weren't considered capable or able to do. And it's really an interesting story when you watch it from that viewpoint. If you're watching it from the viewpoint, what you think you're being told the story of, about this sexist Don Draper of in the 60s and 70s, it'll piss you off. And you're like, man, fuck that guy, he's an asshole. But then if you start thinking, wait a minute, this is really about Peggy. And she's telling you what hurdles and who she had to deal with and everything to go through, it's a whole different story. A whole different story. Same show. It's all about your aspect of what you see, what's going on, what you didn't realize was happening. Like you said earlier about Mysterio being in all those scenes. I'll have to check that out. It's really interesting. First time I watched Endgame when he broke Cap's shield, right? No, not Jar Jar. That blade was from a helicopter he rode in the comics. Oh my God. I forgot about that. Good call. I totally forgot about that. It's funny. I was looking at that thinking, that looks like a helicopter blade. Wow. Good call. I totally missed that. So, I've caught up on all the chat. We've gone through a bunch of stuff. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything at all? Before we wrap this up and I let you guys off the hook. I really need to catch up on my Spider-Mans. I need to catch up on Black Widows. Talking of the villains. Crossbones. Hot Toys teased it. That's a third-party Crossbones over there. I don't know if you can see it. That's a villain that definitely needs to be added to your villain collection if you don't have him. Another villain that I have that I like a lot is my Loki down here, who is Loki from Germany when he's wearing his suit with his scarf. Another unbelievable villain that if you're collecting villains, you need to track him down. Again, it's not a Hot Toys figure. It's a Hot Toys head sculpt, but the figure is accessories from third-party sculptors. So a lot of these villains, you've got to track them down because Hot Toys won't make them. And so that makes it collecting the villains quite an interesting hobby. And I applaud you for doing that and be encouraged in your collection of the villains. And I think you'll have fun chasing down those characters. So what do we got here? I wish I knew which comic it was, though. I remember Thanos riding in a helicopter. I really do. I don't know if you talked about this, but the guy who is making your Star Wars speeder, Juice Aslink is his name, is also making a Vulture. What do you think about that? I think that's freaking amazing, and I told Juice that I was going to order it, so it's just going to have to wait till October because I'm all out of money. And I don't know why I didn't mention that, but I think it's going to be a good thing. I don't remember how much you said it's going to cost, but evidently he's making a Vulture, and I have a feeling it's going to be at a Hot Toys quality. That's his promise, at least. And I think he's also making a Batman, a BVS Batmobile as well. I don't know if he's making that in 1/6 scale. I think he is, but he's starting to really crank them out. He's made dioramas, Star Wars dioramas. Originally, he made a lot of those, and like I said, I got the land speeder because, again, I've got to get that. I have to have that for my my Star Wars collection, and I couldn't believe it when I seen that. And I love that land speeder. I mean, the impression that the land speeder made on me when I seen it back when the movie first came out back in 1977, and you know the whole story with that land speeder. I was like, oh, I've got to get me one of those. But yeah, I'm going to order the Vulture from him as well. It's a requirement, I think. I'm looking at R2 over here. Looks like he's about ready to fall over. Let's fix my R2 here. He's falling over on me. Yeah, he was about to bite the dust. My little R2 here. I had to stand him back up. That guy there, the last one on the far end, he was all tilted over like he was going to fall over. So I had to stand him back up. He's got something else going on. Juice has got something going else on, but you can find him at Jazz Inc. I think is his website. JAZZ Inc. I think is what it is. I love these live chats also. Thank you guys. I mean, it's so fun to chat with you guys about all these different things. Sylvester Arnold, Bruce Willis, kit bashes. Oh, I bet those are going to look great. Do you think that I would be able to get the Thor Dark World Loki and put the horns on from the Avenger Loki? Because I think that would be cheaper than buying Avengers Loki. I don't know. I know sometimes head sculpts are interchangeable and sometimes they're not. I know sometimes helmets are interchangeable and sometimes they are not. I do not own a Dark World Loki. I only have the two Lokis. I have the Ragnarok Loki, and I have my Germany Loki, and that's it. Those are the Lokis that I have. Again, it was one of those things where I wished I got them, and I really would like to get an Avengers Loki. That's one of my holy grails. And that's what we call them. The ones you can't get, or the ones you don't have, or the ones that you want to get, that you have difficulty getting, especially because they cost a lot of money. We call them, they're our grail pieces, the holy grails. Doing Rambo and Rambo 4, Sly, Dredd, Die Hard, Willis, and got a 1/6 Harley, Fat Boy motorcycle, and John Connor. Sweet. I've looked at some of the 1/6 motorcycles and thought I wanted to try to get one for Captain America. And I think that there was a company that made a 1/6 World War II motorcycle for Captain America, and I thought about getting it, and I did not, and I wished I had. Ragnarok Loki, yep, I got me one of those. 500 what? That's what they're selling for? Get that baby next to Aunt May. I was meaning to ask, is your wife doing good? And I hope she gets better soon. Rick, thank you very much. She went into a skilled nursing medical facility on Monday. They used to call them nursing homes, and now they call them skilled nursing medical facilities. And so she's there getting physical therapy. She gets 2 hours of physical therapy a day. So imagine exercising for 2 hours every day. I mean, that's a lot of work for somebody who's fit, to go to the gym and bust her ass for 2 hours. And that's what they're doing to her, and to get her up and about and able to function again. One of the questions I had was, well, why are you unable to do what you used to could do before she had all this? And the answer I was given, and it makes totally sense after it's explained to me, and I'm like, duh. It's her muscles atrophied from being in a bed for so many days that she was. So they're having to strengthen her muscles. And of course, some of the nerves had to get rewired because she died. My wife died. She literally died. She died right in front of me. I watched her take her last voluntary breath, and she died. And she was out from anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes. They don't know exactly how long she was gone. And they brought her back to life, and they had to put her on a root breather and everything else. So she, even when they brought her back, she was so weak, and all the odds were stacked against her. I mean, the odds are stacked against her coming back in the first place because only 10% of the people who have cardiac arrest even return. 90% of people who have a cardiac arrest do not come back. They're gone. That's it. That's the end of their life. And so she's been beating the odds left and right in regards to this entire thing. And the 2 hospitals she was at, they didn't treat her well. I don't know what the hell's wrong with people today in the medical field. They get into the medical field and they claim that they want to help people, and then they act like complete jerks. And they don't want to do anything. They don't want to take care of the family members or the patients, and it just really, really, really had upset me. I would have to say the majority of the medical staff that treated my wife in the 2 hospitals that she was in were subpar. They were just rude and arrogant and untrustworthy. I mean, they stole stuff from her at the last hospital. They literally stole stuff from her. And I'm like, well, where is this? And they're like, oh, we don't know. And I'm like, well, you're going to replace it? Oh, yeah, we'll get with you on that. And we ended up losing it. And it's crazy, man. It's absolutely insane. So when they were saying that they were going to move her to a nursing home for physical therapy, I was like, God, geez, I'm really tired of this. I'm tired of going to places that are bad. And I've only heard horror stories about nursing homes. All I've ever heard in the past was how bad nursing homes were. And I got to say now, she's been there since Monday, and they are the medical staff there. It's only been 5 days, but they have been complete angels. I am kidding you not. I can't think of one single individual that has been there that treated her adversely or without compassion or without concern or care or I mean, I'm blown away. I mean, I just was thinking, oh geez, she's going to their nursing home now, and it's been bad in the hospital. The last 2 hospitals she was at, the healthcare professionals were not professional at all. They were just crap. I was like, it's just going to get worse. And it's nothing like that. She's really been taken care of, and she's getting stronger every day. I mean, when I go in there and I find her sitting up in bed, which it sounds stupid, but she was unable even to do that. And to see her doing that is just like, wow, look at you. You're getting your strength back so that you can sit on the side of the bed. Stuff that you and I take for granted. She's having to do all over again, like a baby. If you've ever had the joy of being around a child or having a child of your own, when they take their first step, when they look at you and they recognize you, when they discover they have a tongue, when they figure out how their fingers work, and all these little things are great milestones for you, and you're absolutely joy, and you can't wait to show everybody, and tell everyone about how your kid said his first word. Well, she's doing the same thing again now. It's almost like a rebirth. You know what I mean? So I get excited over all the little accomplishments and goals and milestones that she's gone through, and she's like, oh, you're fussing over me too much. And I'm like, no, baby, you don't. I'm sure she does to understand. But I tell her, I said, you don't understand what I've been through on this side. She's been through a lot on her side, obviously. She came back from the dead. But I've been through a lot on this end as well. And her plan, objectively, is to be out of the nursing home in a couple of months, weeks. She says, I'll be home in 2 weeks. And I believe her. I mean, that's definitely her goal. And every day she improves. I believe she said that yesterday she took her first steps. Her first steps. Think about that for a second. Somebody who was able to get about, for the most part, used a wheelchair a lot because she had an amputation, but she didn't necessarily need a wheelchair. She could get up and get out and walk in it. It was just easier not to use it. But now, since her cardiac arrest, she hadn't been able to take any steps. She took her first steps yesterday, and oh my God, oh, what an amazing thing. What an amazing thing. And thank you guys all for your concern and your care and your questions about her. Thank you. Because I need you guys. I do. $500. There we go. That's how much Vulture's going to be, huh? She's a few years older than me. I almost passed out from trying to work out for an hour. God bless her. I ain't kidding you. Makes you think, was shocked when Luke Perry died. I know, right? These guys that are like young, they deal with some horrible patients, demanding stuff and threatening staff. It runs off, unfortunately. I can imagine that. I mean, I get torqued off as well in my job, and I'm not even under the stress that healthcare professionals are. But man, it gets to the point where they become so hardened. I don't know if they're understaffed or overworked or what the problem is, but it's unfortunate. My mom got an infection in a hospital one time because they didn't treat her right after surgery 10 years ago. She's good now, but still makes her upset because it messed certain parts of her up. Of her hip. I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. It doesn't make bad for all. There's good patients, but not all of them. Right. I've got a good friend of mine who is, what is he? He's like a surgery technician or something. I'm not sure exactly what he does, but he works for one of the hospitals here in town. And he's a really good friend of mine. And he's a great guy. He's funny and he's popular and he's well liked. And I just know that he's got to be under the same kind of stressors that other people are. But I also think sometimes there's people in the job or the field that really have no business being there. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense at all. Because you really have to be, in order to do that job, you've got to know. I mean, think about it. CNAs, they wipe your butt. Can you think of anything worse than having to do that for a living? What do you do for a living? You go in there and wipe people's butt after they go to the bathroom. Come on. You really have to be in the right mindset to be in that type of job in the first place. You have to really want to be compassionate and caring and thoughtful for someone in order to be able to do that on a daily basis. You're going to put your hand right in that. You know what I'm saying? And if you go in there with all attitude and all that, what are you even doing that job for? You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy. Like I said, I just thought I was expecting the worst. I was like, God, as bad as it's been in the hospitals, it's going to be hell in the nursing home, and it wasn't. It has not been so far. I've just been blown away. I really am. So I want to get that clear to you guys that what you perceive possibly to be what one thing will end up being, it doesn't always end up that way. And I really was like, God, we really don't want to put her in a nursing home. We really don't want to put her in a nursing home. And it's been great. It's been great. It's been great. I heard on the news a patient shooting at hospital. So yeah, it's not easy for staff or patients. No, I'm with you. And there's some good and bad staff, and it's good and bad anywhere you go. You know what I mean? It's that way. It's really 50-50 to me about hospitals. There are some good ones. Yep, I'm with you. I agree, and I guess it's all my own personal experience in regards to what I have gone through, and I certainly didn't expect at these two hospitals for it to be the way that it was. I really did not expect that at all. I was really totally caught off guard by that, especially when they started stealing stuff and then shrugging their shoulders. Oh, we don't even know what you're talking about. And it's like, oh my God. And as soon as you question them, as soon as you say, well, where's my wife such and such? And they're like, whoa, she didn't have one of those. The hell, she didn't. I'm the one that brought it in, and you guys marked it off on a thing. Go check your sheet. And then they can't find the sheet. Come on. And the sad part about it, I hate to say this, but every one of us are going to be there sooner or later. We're going to be in that bed. Unless something else happens to us where we skip that part of our lives. But every one of us are going to experience that. And even those of them that work in that field. And karma's an absolute bitch. Boy, oh boy. If karma decides that you need to be taught a lesson, you're going to wish you hadn't got it. I'll tell you that much. So, anything else on you guys' minds? I've got a pre-order list linked to my arm of stuff that I've got coming. I guess the cheaper the hospital, the worse the care, I guess. And it's funny because here where I live, we really have two chains of hospitals, and neither one of them are cheap. And the second hospital that she was sent to, because the first hospital was like a real, honest to goodness, cardiac arrest, 24-hour emergency type hospital. The second hospital, they call it an acute care hospital. So they do things, but they don't do surgeries and stuff like that. They do x-rays and they take care of you and breathing and all that things that a hospital can do for you, but they don't do surgeries. They're not going to cut you open and do brain surgery on you or replace your heart or anything like that. But they are a hospital, and they're not 24 hours. They don't have an emergency room, and so you can't go there if you injure yourself. You have to go to an emergency room hospital. So it's called an acute care hospital. And then the next step down, skilled nursing medical facility or skilled medical nursing facility, which is what they call them now, they don't even have a doctor on staff. The doctors are on call. So the people in charge of the place are the nurses. They have certain levels of your ability to determine on whether or not they can even accept you. But none of it's cheap. I don't think there is such a thing as a cheap hospital here in the States in that regards. It all depends on what they're capable of doing for you in regards to the extent of facility and ability that they have at the location. And so at the nursing home or skilled medical nursing facility or skilled nursing medical facility, I'm not sure which way it is this termed. They had a list of requirements. Can they do this on their own? Can they do this on their own? Do they require this treatment? Do they require that treatment? And if you check certain boxes or don't check certain boxes, you can or cannot be admitted into the facility because they can't or aren't able to take care of you like that. So certainly has nothing to do with the price. If someone stole my stuff at a hospital, that's literally towards the bottom of stuff like you're stealing from sick people. I mean, come on, people. Siri, you should have beat it. I swear to God. And it's a crying shame. I couldn't believe that they did that. I mean, I'm sitting here, the last day, I'm fighting an argument with everybody there. I'm demanding to speak to everybody from the president down because nobody showed up. And I'm just so happy to be out of there. And it was just a bad situation. Vibra Hospital is the name of it. Vibra, just a bad situation. Bad. Don't go there. Don't go there. That's all I got to say. Oh, where are we at? I figure I live the hobo life before it happens to me. So you haven't had any problems loser lately, Deke? Has he been making the community toxic lately? I think he hasn't changed. I think he hasn't stopped making it toxic. Andy Griff style. I stay away from that guy. He doesn't have a nice setup though. I love Justin's collection more. The doctor who I would let do a surgery on me when I'm older is Stephen Strange, because he's a great surgeon. He's got what's he say, a photographic memory, right? How many more in-game figures do you think that we are going to get? That's a good question. Justin's a nice dude. Community Siri, you should chat with him. Every time I think doctors, I think of Seinfeld, where that surgery they was it a Tic Tac or was it was a Junior Mint, wasn't it? I like Justin, but sometimes he's a snob. That's the best way to describe it. I've watched a couple of Justin's collections videos. I don't remember them well enough to be able to comment on him. I probably should pay a little more attention to him. What was it we were talking about also? In-game figures. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how many we're going to get. I mean, it'd be a lot, wouldn't it? And there are so many figures that they should make that we'll probably never get, right? I think it was a Junior Mint that he dropped on top of that. But, gosh, somebody was asking me, and I know you and I have talked about this before, on who I think the most powerful Marvel character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is. And we've talked about that before, but I'll share it again. In my opinion, the single most powerful Marvel character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, be it villain or good guy, Scarlet Witch. Period. Doctor Strange is extremely powerful. Captain Marvel is very powerful. Thanos, obviously, very powerful. Scarlet Witch, hands down. I like how they portrayed her with in game when she confronts Thanos. Because literally she looks at him and she says, with her thick Sokovian accent, "You have killed everyone that I loved." And Thanos looks at her in all honesty, because this is pre Avengers Thanos. This is the Thanos that didn't know any of this. He looks at her very seriously and says, "I don't even know who you are." And that just fuels her even more, because she's about to get vindicated, and she's going to be vindicated over someone who doesn't even know why she's about to kill him. And she's literally about to rip him apart molecularly, atom by atom, as she's tearing him apart into itty bitty little pieces. I mean, Thanos, with the Infinity Gauntlet, was able to pull a moon or a planet down onto Tony, like he says. He's mirrored by face with a planet. She can do the same thing. Scarlet Witch, she's no joke. That, seriously, in my opinion, the single most powerful Marvel character, and that's why they had to take her out in Infinity War. They had to get rid of her. She couldn't be an in-game because she's just too powerful. And the only way that they were able to stop her was because he called down the all the missiles or whatever on the ship and interrupted her from being able to complete her thought. Thanos would have been totally dead. She would have totally ripped him into itty bitty little Thanos pieces. He would have been demolecularized. When's Justin's podcast? So I'll check them out. And there's a third party one of what? Thick Thor. Yeah. Oh, Thick Thor. Yeah, there's a third party, and like I said, I wasn't sure whether or not I pulled the trigger on that. I wasn't too pleased with it, but I was like, well, I guess it'll work. I haven't made any YouTube videos. Oh, okay. She has reality warping powers, can kill millions by just saying no more mutants. We talking about Scarlet Witch, right? Which I'm in my 20s, but I don't understand the time and processes it takes, right? It takes a lot, believe it or not. Okay, I have less than Siri. I was wondering if your collection was like his. There is a vast and wide range of collectors out there. I love you all, your contents and videos. I hope one day I will join you. And thank you very much. Yeah. Ruben, welcome back. Technically, she should be still mad at Tony Stark. He is really the one who took everything from her, her family and all that, right? But remember, Ultron. You have to keep in mind, Ultron was created from Thanos. Ultron killed her brother, Quicksilver, with his little sentries, and then Thanos killed Vision. So she lost her family, but her brother wasn't her twin. Was that what the case was? I'm trying to remember. But her brother was where she was connected, and then so Thanos kind of killed him, and that's why she couldn't wait to rip Ultron's heart straight out of him, and crushed it. And then she was totally in love with Vision, and Thanos just dismissively destroyed Vision because he needed the stone out of his head. I forget what stone it was. Mind Stone? Don't remember which one it was. And so yeah, that was what was really going on. So you'll find, like with my wife, man. I don't think there's anybody that I'm more connected to than my wife. In that regards of whom I love the most. And so when she was in love with Vision, and that really was the icing on the cake for Thanos to rob Vision from her. So yeah, that's what I agree with totally when she's like, "You've killed everyone that I loved." Yeah, I totally am there in that regards. And so yeah, that's my opinion on that. Robert Siri has more than me for now till I come an actual Iron Man and buy them all. I'm with you, man. I really want the Hot Toys John Wick, but I don't know where the hell to put him. Yeah, right? That's the case it is with every figure. That's why they're sitting here, back here. I don't know where even to put these guys. Hot Toys is supposed to be making a thicker Thor. They have had a picture on their Twitter of a teaser of him, but they haven't announced them yet. And I think it's just Thor, like with the end game battle with his hair tied up. It's not like the pizza loved Noob Master 69 threatening, sitting in his house playing video games, Thor, which is what I really want. I want to see that Thor. You think MCU Black Widow could have lifted a hammer? Also think Thanos probably could too. Um, wasn't that in the comics? Didn't Black Widow lift the hammer in the comics? Isn't she one of the ones that have wielded the hammer? I'm pretty sure she has. And they did a good job of skipping over that in Age of Ultron when they were all discussing the big thing about the hammer on who was worthy. And Cap went over there and grabbed it and actually wiggled it, which made Thor nervous when he seen that happening. And then, of course, when he did it, Thor's like, I knew it all along. But when they asked Black Widow to do it, she's like, what you say? I'm not even, I forget. She blew it off, like as if she didn't, we should all know that she wouldn't be worthy because she was a trained assassin. But if I remember correctly, she is worthy to wield the Mjolnir. So that would be interesting to see. That'd be really interesting to see. Who here would purchase the new Joaquin Phoenix Joker 1/6 scale from Hot Toys? I think anybody that is a Batman slash Joker fan would buy it. That's a good question, though, Ruben. I am curious to see how the movie's going to turn out, though. Like I said, Joaquin Phoenix, he's if anybody were to play the Joker, I think he did a good job in choosing a character or actor to do that. But looking at the makeup that they've chosen for Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, I'm not too pleased with that. It's not Joker as far as I'm concerned, if that makes any sense. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't like that. Tony helped make Ultron, who ended up killing her brother, so Tony is in part responsible for her brother dying. Well, the Ultron AI was already there, and it killed Jarvis, or they thought they had killed Jarvis, and then it became itself. I would. Yeah, that's the dilemma. Did Tony make Ultron? Oh man, that's up for debate. She can lift my hammer too. I guess it depends if I love the film, Ruben, in regards to the new Joker. True, I too need to have some emotional attachment to the figures I purchased. 100%. And I was discussing that earlier. There's been a couple of times where I bought figures that I just didn't have any attachment to, and you end up regretting it, especially when you're dropping over $200 on a figure. So take your time and buy figures that mean something to you. John Wick next to my RoboCop. RoboCop, forgot all about that franchise. Is another group of Hot Toys figures that are out there. There's so many different lines that Hot Toys makes that you really can just go on and on and on in regards to being able to collect stuff. And they're always cranking them out. I'm just saying you're right, but Tony is responsible for killing more of her family than Thanos is, which is crazy if you think about it. Except the Ultron came from Thanos in the first place. She did lift it in the comics, yep. You could make a custom fat Thor. I know there are 1/6 fat dad bodies around, but they put the hair on the belly is the one of the fat dad I've seen. He's got a hairy belly, and Thor does not have a hairy belly. I love Thor's reaction to Cap lifting it. He's like, I knew it, with you. To lift it, you don't have to be clean, for example, in MCU. Hela lifted it, and she was a monster. Odin was a bad king and lifted it. Odin created it. And did Hela lift it, or she just destroyed it? She caught it, right? I'm not feeling that Joker movie. Ultron was also made by Bruce, right? True. The best thing about the new Joker is that it's a one-time purchase, as it is a standalone film. No Batman, no other figures to complete the collection. The wallet is the wallet is happy. Yeah. Did Hot Toys ever do Jason Bourne? I don't believe they did. I don't believe there is any Jasons out there. I can't think of a single Matt Damon figure that they've done either. No. I don't think that they have. I don't think that they have. By the way, I found a neck piece for my kid pool. Kid Deadpool. I haven't put it on there totally yet, but if you remember, this was a kit bash that I had made because I want to get all the Deadpools that were in the Deadpool core. And so this is a kid pool. So he's 1/6 scale, but he's 6 inches tall or whatever. And this is a head sculpt from a Toys. Who made this? Gentle Giant. So Gentle Giant did a Deadpool core, and they included a dog pool, score pool, and a head pool, and a Deadpool kid, but it was just a bust. And he had his arms and his chest and his head. And so I wanted to put it on a figure, so I found a Deadpool figure that was about yay tall, and I took the suit and I darkened it, and then cut the little piece off of his chest and glued it on there, and that's the head from the bust. And those are the hands from, I originally was using the hands from the bust. These are hands from Lady Deadpool, and these are the swords from the Gentle Giant bust. And then I added the strings on here because they were sculpted, and I don't remember if I broke them or what the deal was on those. So these are the little strings that I've added, and one of the things that I needed to do was to make it look more like the Deadpool core. And there's several renditions of the kid Deadpool. There's Deadpool kid and there's Kid Deadpool. One is a kid and one is a cowboy, like Billy the Kid. So I don't remember whether it's Kid Deadpool or Deadpool Kid. I think it's Deadpool Kid is who this is. And I've got the belt from the Hot Toys Deadpool, and then I glued on it another piece from the bust for that. No, that piece was actually from the little 6-inch Deadpool that I bought to kit bash this into. So that's what this is. But I've got this little piece here. I needed to have the black banding around the neck, and I haven't put it on here yet. And so it's getting close to getting completed. So that's my kit bash of Kid Deadpool 1/6 action figure, posable figure that I made right there. Give you a heads up on that. So it's the piece is hanging out on there, but it's obviously not on there like it's supposed to be. Same thing with this, because it's not molded. I'm not going to change it. It's just on there. So it's designed really to be looked at from the front. So there's that. And little swords will come out of the hands there, by the way, if you needed to, so you turn around any way you want to or wish to for that. That's my kid Deadpool. Kid Deadpool. There's a third-party Jason Bourne. Oh, cool. Iron Patriot from Endgame is amazing looking. I agree. I kind of want Ultron to come back because I really did like the actor who played him. He was really good. James Spader. And I just finished watching Boston Legal, which I really enjoyed. What was funny about Boston Legal also is, just like Deadpool, they break the fourth wall. So they would constantly make comments about knowing that they were a television show, or complaining about the writers, or looking you dead in the eye and saying something specifically to you. It was really fun. There's if a show does that and continually does that, and you know that that's like the running gag, it's fun, you know. And of course that's what Deadpool does all the time, and I love that. Yeah, I love James Spader. He's he kind of hung out with the Brat Pack back in the '80s. Do I have any 1-to-1 scale pieces in your collection? Right here. Here's a 1-to-1 scale piece. You guys recognize this? You know what this is? Do you recognize it? Chucky movies. Chucky. Boy, what a trip Chucky was. Anybody recognize this? I'll tell you what it is if you don't know. Just tell me you give up, and I'll tell you what it is. Some of you guys I know you guys know what this is. Come on. I know you know what this is. I'll tell you what it is. Captain America Civil War, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. when he's fighting Bucky. And Bucky's there trying to kill everybody, and he's got his pistol, and he pulls his pistol out and literally proceeds to get ready to shoot Robert Downey Jr. right in the face. And Robert goes, beep, 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 bloop, bloop, pulls over his hand, and grabs the pistol. That's the watch right there. This is the original. Iron Man's turns red. The original one turns blue. There it is. There's the watch that Tony Stark wears that becomes... turns in the hand, he grabs the pistol from Bucky and keeps him from shooting him in the face. And when Bucky discharges the weapon and it's facing him, the look on his face is like, what the hell? Dude, you about blew my head off. It's priceless. And I have a 1-to-1 Bumblebee. I own a 2010 Chevrolet Camaro 2SS RS CT8 RPO code for being the Transformer Edition officially licensed Hasbro product, limited edition Camaro. Yellow with black stripes, Bumblebee Transformer Edition. So those are my 1-to-1s. I can't think of any other 1-to-1 pieces that I own. But this one, because I have watches, I'm not a huge watch collector, but I have a handful of watches. And so I thought that was cool. I was like, I got to get that watch. And I wear my watches on my left hand, but this one you got to wear on the right hand, only because that's where Robert Downey Jr. wears. So whenever I'm wearing this, it's on the right hand, because because Robert Downey Jr. or Tony Stark, they're left-handed. And I'm a righty, so which means I would wear my watch on my left. But with this one, I put it on the right. And the Camaro, man, you can't go wrong with the Bumblebee Camaro. You cannot go wrong with that at all. Blacklist is a show you should watch. Next, James Spader's performance. It is great. I love James Spader. It is a functioning watch, 100%. So what you do is you press the little button here, and it comes on. Okay, and then it shows you the hours and the minutes. So right there, it's saying 11:01. Now it's a little fast. 11:02 now. 11:02. So the way it works is the first row are the hours, and you count the dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 11 dots there, and there's actually numbers next to it. You can see. So I'll turn it on again. And so that's 11, and you see the 12 doesn't mark. And then it goes the other direction, 1 through 5. So the first one will be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, all the way up to 60 minutes, and fill it all the way up to the top. And so you kind of have to be a genius to be able to tell what time it is, but that says 12:02. And you hit it again, and it'll do the date and the time as well. So there's a calendar with it being the ninth month, and again, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 to 6, 7, 28 days. So there it is, 11:03 on September the 28th is what that says. So yeah, there it is. And these watches are pretty rare. They didn't make many of them in the first place. To find a working one on top of that is impossible. So I'm really proud to have tracked this down. I had to buy 2 of them to get a working one, believe it or not. So I'm really pleased with this. Now, the ones that Robert Downey Jr. used was red, and these never came out in red. And so they changed it at the production crew, changed it and made a red one for whatever reason, or graphically they changed it red when he turned it into the hand, to a repulsor hand. So, but it's blue is what it is originally. And that, where it just did that, is what they call like pimp mode, which is, it's called the name of the watch is called, it's not easy being a pimp or something like that. I don't remember what the actual name of the watch is called. And this company just makes weird, unusual art piece watches. And Robert Downey Jr. in real life is a watch collector. He has a huge watch collection. He loves watches, and he gives them to his closest friends. He gives them watches as gifts. And so he probably, it ain't easy pimping ain't easy. That's the name of it. Pimping Ain't Easy is the name of this watch. And I wonder how much input Robert Downey Jr. had in regards to using this watch for that scene. He may not have had any. It may have been a prop guy that literally grabbed it and threw it on there because it looked cool. And but he may have had some input in regards to that, because he's a huge watch collector, and he gives watches away as gifts to his close friends. And so I like it for that reason. Let's see. I want to see Siri in full size armor. Coming on to 7 p.m. here now. It's running late, 2 p.m. Florida, 12 noon here. Nice piece. Thank you. Time for tea, salt, and pepper chicken and chips with OK sauce. I don't even know what that is. I think that sounds good. All I got is bologna sandwiches. Laugh out loud. What was I going to say about this? I don't remember. But so guys, thanks for sticking around. Shoot, we've been on the channel now 4 hours. Wow. Hey, thank you guys for spending the morning with me, or your evening with me. I appreciate every one of you guys, and thanks for sticking around. There are rumors that Jonah Hill may be playing the Penguin in the Batman movie. Interesting. Jonah Hill. Why does that name sound familiar? Who is Jonah Hill? Help me out. I'm not too pleased about the dude from Twitter playing the next Batman, by the way. I don't think I've ever complained about a Batman casting. But I'm not so certain I'm too thrilled about the dude from Twilight playing Batman. The Twilight Batman? With the Penguin? Jonah Hill? Jonah Hill. Oh, Jonah Hill! Yeah. I know who that is. The only thing I can think of him being in is that sequel to Pineapple Express. This is the End, or something like that. Oh, God, Jonah Hill. You know, I in all actuality, I could see him being a penguin. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, he would make a good penguin. Danny DeVito did a pretty amazing penguin. What's his name from the Adam West Batman. That penguin was amazing. What is his name? Jeez. Yep. I'll see y'all. Thanks very much. Thank you very much. She's on the mend, and she appreciates you guys thinking of her and praying for her, and sending positive waves, and giving her up to the universe, and just your thoughts and concern. Um, Thank you very much. Thank you guys. And she always asks me how many of you guys have tuned in, and how well the show went. And she's loving and caring, and she tolerates my hobby, and she loves you guys. She's glad you're here for us, and we're here for each other. So, what time did you say Justin's podcast was? What days is it on? Anybody know? Somebody had said something about that, so I just check it out. Like, I like watching, hop in on Denobi's every now and then. Whenever Denobi's doing a live podcast, I hop in, and you may see me on one of his live podcasts. And Sardimus, I've been on his, popped in on his live podcast, just like you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you all on the next video. See you next Saturday, definitely. And happy collecting. Thank you for being patron supporters. I've got a patron supporter out there, and I don't know whether or not you want me to share your name, but I appreciate you. I really do. And if any of you want to be a patron supporter, thank you very much. I can't promise you a doggone thing, but it only takes $1. And really, in the gist of things, $1 to you may not be much, but to me it's a ton. It really is. And I appreciate every one of you. And if you want to be a patron supporter, the link is in the description below. And like I said, only $1 a month. Works beautifully. Like I said, recorded in advance. I'll ask them to get in touch with you. Cool. Thanks. And I'll see y'all. Peace out. Love you. Happy collecting. See you on the next video. Bye.